You guys, the 750Li X Drive is a 2013 that I showed that it needed injector seals because it was running a little rough, and we did the injector seals and it runs better, and there's no misfire codes anymore. But now the car is throwing what I call is the death code of a 750 or the N63 engines. And I'll show you guys the codes here. So we have bank 2 exhaust issues, and it's this one right here, the 164043, the faulty installation code. And you look everywhere online, nobody has a solution for it, because inevitably it needs a timing chain when you get this code, especially when you get this code with this other code, this 130F21. We get this code, we delete it, and it also throws the turbo codes because it shuts the turbos off, and because the exhaust cam, and it doesn't have it on here, the codes for the turbos getting cut off. But anyways, we have this code, and it will throw this code, and it throws it immediately. We changed the cam sensors, or we swapped them. We didn't change them. We swapped them from intake to exhaust, and then we also changed the crank sensor just to eliminate everything. And still no change. We disconnected the turbos, thinking maybe the turbos had boost leak or something and throwing off the timing of the engine. And nope, that wasn't it either. And now I pulled the valve cover off the car just to get right to the issue to see if it was actually bad. And now we don't have the tools here. We got to order the tools to make sure it is 100% this, which I'm pretty certain just by eyeballing it. So you look right here on, oops, oh, that might be, is that too bright? Alright, so if you look right here, you know, the tools are supposed to fit in here and here and here and here, and it's supposed to be flush with the valve or the head, and you're also supposed to have the tool down there in the crankshaft. I already know all this. I don't have the tools yet, but the way the description shows this, it should be this flat spot lines up with this flat spot roughly, and which it does. This one does line up, but if you look over here, this one is cocked to the turbo side. In reality, that flat spot right there is supposed to be pretty much straight with this line right here on the cam cap. Like I said, I don't have the tools right now, but just eyeballing it, the chain is stretched, because there's no way that that cam is off and this one is in, unless the links in between here are stretched. And that's the gap right there. You know what I mean? Like it stretches, say, 1 or 2 teeth, and then you get off on the exhaust cam. And that's pretty much it. Now today we are going to take off the other valve cover and then try to get the engine pretty much in time, with the crankshaft being right and all the cams being right. Like I said, these engines are a nightmare to work on. Everything is complicated. Everything is deep. And when you go to fix one thing, you got to take the whole engine apart. And there's literally no different here. Literally, the whole engine is in pieces right now, just to get this one valve cover off. All these wires down here, like the video don't even do it justice of how much stuff you got to take apart here. All the injectors, the fuel pump, literally the air cooler, like all these bolts. I mean, it's it's pretty bad. The work on these is very tight. This is not a good day, and it definitely costs a lot of money to fix these. But to me, you know, I'm showing you guys this printout right here, which it's not applicable to this year car, which this one's a 2013 750, and this is from I think it's like 14 to 18 or something. TSB saying if you get these codes, then you got to change the actuators out, the VVT actuators, which are down here, which we already did. We actually robbed them out of another Beamer, and it didn't change anything. If anything, it made it worse. Now it's actually the cam's moving all around and trying to adjust to the position being way off. But like I said, we don't have a tool, so I'm not saying it is out of time, but if you're looking at it, to me, this is a clear indicator that it's out of time, because this is supposed to be flush with this one, and then this line right here is supposed to be flush with this one. Then also, if you come here and you look at these pictures of how to time the engine, you got to look at the cam lobes, and then the flat spot up here, which I already did, and still the exhaust one is still out. And nowhere on any of the forums, if you have this issue, does it say the actual fix. I mean, I've been everywhere, I've looked everywhere about this code, and there's no info on it. There's no other people that have this issue, or there is people that have this issue, but they never tell a fix to it. And I think they don't tell the fix because it's, you know, they usually sell the car because they can't fix it, or they can't figure it out on these N63s. So that's this one. I know, like I said, I showed you guys the injectors and what they were doing, and we literally resealed all of them. And which, when you reseal them on these 750s, I'll show you. So this is grease on here. When we put them back in, we put grease all over them. But these are the seals right here that go bad on the injectors. And I think you get the whole set for like 30 bucks, 20, 30 bucks on these things. But this will cause the engine to run rough. And like I said, that's what we thought was going on with this engine. And once again, this is an auction car, so you don't know what you're buying until you actually get it here, which is unfortunate. And now we ordered the correct timing tools, the chains, everything to go ahead and time this motor the proper way, and hopefully, you know, we ordered the chain, but if it doesn't need a chain, then we're not going to put one in it. But I'm pretty sure it's definitely going to need a chain once we get the tools in and we actually set the engine how it's supposed to be from factory. When you time them, I'm pretty sure we're going to see that the the driver's side exhaust cam chain is definitely, or the cam's rotated, which the timing chain stretched. So that's that one. Alright guys, so we're back on this 750 now. It's been like a straight week later, and we still don't have the right tools for this. We ordered this kit, which is not for this N63, it's for a different one. So what do you do with it? I don't know where it's, oh, here it is. So we ended up making this tool. We sacrificed one. So we ground out this phaser or cam hole a little bit bigger for the intake cam. And the exhaust cam actually still fits the original size here. And then we moved this bracket around to make it fit. So now that we got it fit, I've already did the adjustments on it. I guess it's in time. We got the thing on the crankshaft down there. And this one, so both the exhaust cams on here or on this one's in, but the two exhaust ones are actually pointing inwards just a little bit, like this side. See how it's kind of pointing inwards to the turbos? And this side is the same way. So I'm guessing both of these are in now. I'm not sure. I didn't mess with this side. We were going to do this side, but seeing that this side is identical to this side now, I do believe they're in. Like I said, the tool's flush in there. The tool's flush, everything. So we literally took this bolt out here, pulled it out, put Loctite on the bolt, and here's the bolts here. So you put anti-seize on the flange here, and then I put Loctite on here and torqued it to 30 or 24 foot-pounds and then a 90-degree turn. And she's locked on here. Like I said, I believe it's right. Just looking at this side. We didn't have no codes on this side. We had codes for this side, and they're identical now. And the intake one's in. We didn't loosen up none of the other bolts. So we're going to go ahead and throw the valve covers on and button this thing up and hopefully have it running by the end of the day. I'm not sure if that's even possible. I mean, it's literally like just tons and tons of parts here for this engine. I mean, I got it lined up everywhere. And we also got to put the belt back on down here and put the crank pulley back on. So I don't know if it's going to be done today. We also got to get the downpipe lined back up. We got to loosen up this downpipe for this side. So I don't know. We'll see if it gets done today, and then I'll update you guys once we get it running to see if it's actually worked. So before we put the engine back together over here, I wanted to show you guys this. The valve cover is back on this side. This is the side that we had issues with. And you hear people talking about one-time use bolts and everything. And now this is the phaser bolts for this 750, and this is the reason why I think it lost time or slipped. The phaser slipped because there's no dowels in these phasers. These things can move any way they want when the bolt's loose. So here is this is the brand new bolt, and this is the bolt that came out of it. See if I can catch this on camera here. Here it is. It's not very accurate, but here it is right here. So the new bolt is shorter than the bolt that came out of it. That means that the old bolt has stretched when you put the phaser in, is my guess. Obviously, it's a one-time use bolt. So when you put it in there, it stretches, and therefore you got to throw it away. But I'm thinking that the bolt stretched too much and let the phaser slip on this side and lost time because it was so minutely out on this side. But that's my theory. I don't know until we start this engine up. I don't know until we get the engine going, obviously. So hopefully this is going to fix our issue. But like I said, we'll see here in a second. I just wanted to show you guys the bolts. Alright, you guys, so I'm not sure if y'all seen the other video or not, but the Beamer is up and driving now, the one with the timing chain issue. We turned back timing. It went over, I don't know what you want to call it, but the timing slipped and the bolt stretched, is my theory. I mean, it could have a stretched timing chain, but the customer did not want to do it because it was so much money. The time to do this job was 60 hours for a timing chain, and plus the parts, that's like, you know, if you did all four phasers, all the tensioners, the guides, if you did everything, I would say it's gonna be like, I don't know, $2,500 to $3,000 in Beamer parts, because it's really the only thing you want to use on these inside the engine. Outside the engine, you can cross-reference part numbers, but when it comes to the internal in these cars, you have to use Beamer parts. And so I gave him the option that we could try to turn back the time, and you know, maybe it's just a stretch bolt. We don't know. And so we did it, and the car runs like brand new now. I mean, it is A+. I drove it home last night, had like a weird little misfire going on with it. Come back this morning, checked the code, and had a lean code, and it turned the turbos off. And which is kind of normal when you do a big repair like this. On one of these cars, find an air leak somewhere. And get it back here this morning and found out the boost, the wastegate hose that goes on the turbos was broken. So made a new hose, put it on the vacuum pump, put it back on, test drove this morning, and now she's making all the power that you can ever want out of this car. And I'll show you guys here. No check engine light, no drivetrain malfunction. And I told you guys before, if you hold the door on a BMW and it's like, you know, shaking or vibrating really bad, you know you have an engine problem. But this one is butter now, perfectly smooth, all that together, no leaks, nothing, turbos work, timing codes are gone, everything's done with this car. We do have to clean up all the coolant mess, especially down here, because it looks like it's been leaking, but it's not leaking. So yeah, this one is completely done, you guys.